you get down there and check it.
Well, maybe.
I guess there's a long story and a short one. Which one you want? I'm Austin Jones, and I'm 21 years old. I live in Mayville, Michigan. I was born with muscular dystrophy, and because of that, I have scoliosis. As I was growing up, my disease, what it does is it takes away my muscles over time. And so from the time I was born until now, I've had the muscle of a baby.
Austin Jones is probably the one kid in your life who makes you feel good. It's hard for me to talk about it.
Since I was 12, they got me the Crossbow for my 12th birthday, and I loved shooting the old Crossbow I just had aluminum arrows. None of them matched. It was just to have a good time in the backyard with the family, shooting with my brother. And
he wanted to challenge himself more, and so we called the ASA, or I messaged ASA, and Mike messaged back within minutes, I think, and said absolutely he could come and shoot and compete in the regular crossbow class.
We have done everything we can to mainstream people like Austin, that we don't put them on a separate course or on a throwaway course or a throwaway opportunity. We do everything we can to make them feel part of the family and part of the competition.
His first shoot was London last year,
Kentucky.
and he was shooting a different bow, and which he shot incredible.
I shot that bow. I won Worlds year before last. So 2016, I won the IBO not the triple, but the national championship and the world championship. And then came here last year, and it was a pretty miserable show. Yeah, it was humbling, that's for sure. I shot 48 down.
We thought for sure that coming to a known course that it'd be gravy. Oh, sure, well, he's gonna come here and whoop on all those guys. Well, his very first target, it was, what was it even?
I don't know what it was.
I don't know what it was,
It was
but
a max target.
it was a max target, and I bring in his crossbow down, and the way we shoot, but I some reason had my finger on the trigger, and I punched the trigger right over top of the
3
target.
feet over the back of the target.
He got a 0 for his very first shot in the ASA ever.
Met Austin in London, Kentucky last year. First time. Shot with, I didn't shoot in a group with him. Shot a couple groups down. Just thought it was cool that somebody in a wheelchair was shooting and active and in competition. Found out, done a lot of soul searching after I got to know Austin and his condition and how Austin has to compete. I really done a lot of soul searching.
When we started out, if we could keep a group like that, we were so happy. You remember that?
If we could keep an 8-inch, 10-inch group at 20 yards, we were ecstatic.
Obviously, Austin, he has very limited mobility, so I set the crossbow next to him, and I support the front of the crossbow with my right arm, and I hold the grip of his crossbow with my left hand, and then he tells me up, down, my way, your way, shoot, and then I pull the trigger with my left thumb.
And it's just like a jello effect inside my scope. I'm trying not to go cross-eyed the way he's shaking. And I say shoot, and it goes off, and sometimes it doesn't go off where I want it to. Sometimes his trigger thumb just works. I don't know, we work so much together that we kind of become one when we're on the range.
Last year, not this year, but last year, because I know this because we spent
18 weeks
on the road. We spent 20 nights sleeping in the cab of our truck. I mean, and between, how many states did you hunt last year?
7, 8.
He hunted 7 or 8 states last year, plus shot all the ASA and the first couple
last half of the ASA.
Or the last half of the ASA, the first half of the IBO last year. I mean, and then but just the things that are happening and stuff.
Competition has really, from last year to this year, has really ramped up, scoring wise and everything. And made a comment about moving some of those guys out. Austin's like, no, let them stay. We got to elevate our game to catch up to it, and that's him. Nothing is an obstacle to him.
And he has come in here and proven himself capable of doing that, and that's something that we take great pride in. And he's going through something with his dad that is on one level beautiful and on one level very heartbreaking.
I mean, it's not can't, it's how can we. And I like that about Austin. That's the joy of shooting with him.
It changes everybody in a positive way. You can't get that upset if he's on the range with you, unless you're completely detached from everybody else. If you have no empathy for anybody and it's all about you, if you're a narcissist, he probably would be a distraction to you. But for the rest of the world that matters, he's a great addition at all times. And in fact, we have 2 gentlemen on that range, Austin and another gentleman, who are both in wheelchairs. Both are working through their life, and they're part of ASA.
Thomas, we met him last year at a shoot. Metropolis, and his wife had taken him there because he'd fallen out of a tree and wound up in the wheelchair, and he used to shoot the shoots, and he was in a real bad place, and he came there and he watched Austin shoot, and it changed everything for him. You know, it brought him out of his funk, and now he's happy and he's shooting. And Austin doesn't really care if anybody knows who he is and knows his name, but he wants people to see what he's doing. He feels that he was put here to inspire people, and as we, like I said, we didn't plan any of this, but as we travel around the country and the people he meets, and
his condition is not his attitude or anything. He is very, very witty guy, very smart, comical. I've never seen him in a bad mood. Never seen him depressed. He's always been uplifting, smiling, cutting up, laughing, even when he's having a bad day.
Because we left my bow with a couple friends Friday night to sight it in for me while we were at dinner.
Because we were running so late, of course. That's our MO.
They put the rest on, and they texted me. They said it's shooting darts at 40 yards. Saturday morning, I go out there, shoot 4 arrows at 20 yards. They're all touching, go to 40 yards, shoot 2 arrows, and they're 6 inches apart. 2 hours before the shoot. And we tried to sight in on the first practice bags, but it was so crowded I couldn't get past 20 yards. So we had to stop at the other bags. On the way to the course, in 15 minutes before we got to the course, and we were supposed to shoot, I shot my last 4 arrows on the practice bags.
That's after we had to put the rest back together because I didn't tighten it up good enough here.
Yep, I had 2 arrows hitting close together and 2 6 inches apart at 40 yards, and then I just went into it.
He said, make sure you keep those 2 arrows together, Dad.
So keep those 2
Put them
together.
in the quiver together.
Let's go.
Oh, I thought he was going to burst. I've never seen anybody so proud of anything in my life, and it was just wonderful. I was really hoping that did he podium? I haven't even seen the results yet.
Yesterday he was happy as could be all day long. Today was not quite the same.
I was coming in with a 4-point lead, and I knew that 1 arrow could change everything, so I was tense the whole entire shoot.
Yeah, if he podiums, this place is going to be up for grabs. It's going to be wonderful.
Going in the last target, I don't know what I was. I think it was 18 up going into the last target.
I had no idea what you were.
I was 18 going in the last target, and I had no idea what I was at that point because I hadn't checked my score all day. I hit an 8 on the last target of the day, and I fell apart. I was like, oh no. That took me right out of it, but it just went down to the target, and we took pictures of that when we came back up, and everybody was standing around, and I had no idea why. And then sure enough, we asked what everybody else shot, and they told us.
All right, our Crossbow ASA Classic champion is Austin Jones.
When I came into the gym, I was on cloud 9. I can't even explain it. There's no feeling that compares to winning the ASA Classic. I mean, this year, I thought I could win a couple times, but going into that gym, when everybody was in there and getting up onto that podium, it was the guys lifting the chair up onto the podium.
That's one of the coolest things about archery is how, for one, everybody can compete. It doesn't matter if you're 5 or 100, and you know, everybody in between, and everybody gets along for the most part. And it's pretty cool.
Well, I'm gonna say thank you to everybody in the Crossbow class and ASA for just welcoming me here and letting me join them and shoot against them, because it's the biggest therapy in the world for me, and I don't know if I'd be here without it.
Why are you crying? I don't know. I'm crying because they're cutting onions here. But.